Hi, everybody. It's me again. You'll have to forgive me if I'm talking a bit lower than usual because I just woke up, to be honest. I really haven't thought of making this video because I just think it's kind of silly of me to do it, but I figured it's kind of time to talk about something that's been on my mind ever since it came out. I haven't really expressed a lot of my emotions when it comes to this version of the game. I mean, for those who have stuck around on my channel for a long time, you know that this game has been with me forever. And with the last pack that came out in March, I just can't believe I went through all that. Yep, you have seen me perfect every song in the game, all 600, over 600 of them. Trust me, even I didn't believe that I could do it. So, today I'm going to be talking about this game for once, the better Groove Coaster on Switch. And what I want to talk about is something, a, a song, or dare I say a pack, that had changed my perspective of this version of the game. Because it was kind of a dark time for me, and because this certain song slash pack was really contributing to what I was dealing with throughout the days it came out. Now, to give a little background about um this pack, like my personal background is that I've never heard any of these songs, and more importantly, I've never really played the game that that uh that was announced because I wasn't much of a PC player back then until, a year later after I did get my first PC. So, at the time I'm only going to be saying it based on my best guess, so apologies if I get any information wrong. But let's get started. So, the pack that we are going to be talking about is the infamous Easy Tuon pack. Yeah, so when this was announced, first it was teased, and still I didn't know what this game was exactly. I just know it was just kind of like DJ Mats with all the different types of key modes you can play. And even at the time, I only knew DJ Mats as the main key game, which I knew there were more before that. So, once this pack came out back in July of 2022, I had no knowledge of what I was going to deal with. No knowledge of the songs, no knowledge of the game, Easy to On. So the only reason why I even knew about Easy to On, like I knew it beforehand, but I never really got into it, is because one of my, I want to say, acquaintances in a Discord server, you guys may know him as Stoic. He's the one that played Easy to On for a bit. I did see a little bit of it when he played it once. He was just playing whatever. I just saw a bunch of the similarities to DJ Mats, and it was like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess it is a cool game. I was kind of decent at DJ Mats or key games in general, so it looked interesting, but of course, I couldn't get into it because I didn't have a good enough PC to play. So he did tell me a couple of songs that he liked and he wished was in the game, but that did not mean he was going to play Groove Coaster because I'm sure at the time and even now that he's not interested in that game. And I respect him for it because this game is not for everybody. I mean, I'm not much of a mobile rhythm game player. He's not, and he's just known for playing. He is known for playing various rhythm games, mainly Project Diva, because that's how I knew him. But yeah, like I said, like some rhythm games aren't for anyone. I'm getting off topic. So this pack, oh man, this pack. I was not prepared for what was about to come at all. I just decided to buy it because that's how me as a groove coaster quote unquote perfectionist wanted to do. I just and once I played the pack, I'll be honest, I regretted it because I was just it just slammed me in the face with how many different charting patterns and how hard all the songs were. Even the 14s were giving me such a hard time. I just I just wasn't at my best place when all of this happened. And what made it worse is that at the time I already struggled enough dealing with one song back before the Easy to Unpack came out. But somehow with luck I got that song. So I was like, I'm hoping it gets easier, but no, it has not gotten easier after this pack. And one of the reasons being is um, because there's a new staff involved in Groove Coaster YY Party. From what I heard, I don't know the full story to that because I don't pay attention, but I just know that there was this new staff. So yeah, Easy to Unpack was the pack that kind of changed my perspective in this game, and I'm gonna get into the one song that really changed my perspective in the game. So let's move on to what songs are in this pack for those who don't know. So the first up we have Legend of Moonlight, and then Prince of Darkness, Apollon, Aside de la Rue, Sweet Star, We Alive, Picking, Daydream, High Tech Soda Machine, and the Secret Song, which I'll get into later as not to spoil the surprise, but for those who do know, you'll have to bear with me. So, out of all of these songs, 6 of them, including the Secret Song, are 15s, and 4 of them being 14s. I won't get into details about how each charting was, but let me tell you, those were actually pretty much the hardest 15s I've ever actually done because it did take me a while to grind. And one of them I would like to mention that I believe was even harder than what's about to come was Picking. Picking was nothing but spam, 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 and I feel like every time those bursts came up, I just couldn't keep up. Now, a lot of people would say Daydream was even harder, but personally, I never thought Daydream was even hard. It was just annoying. But since, I was pumped up for Daydream because I didn't mind Daydream, and I guess not a lot of people were into double notes or something like that, but that's on them. My personal opinion about Daydream's chart is that it's one of the easier 15s in this pack. But for picking, man, I actually felt like I was struggling with that longer than the secret song because I was sitting there for hours, even through midnight. I was playing this game through midnight trying to get this one. I don't know how long, exactly how long I started playing that song, but I was struggling. I was really struggling with this song. I wanted to get that out of the way before I got to the final boss. And I'm kind of glad I did. I was just really hoping for the best after I got through the hardest part because I was like, don't choke, don't choke, don't choke. And then I didn't choke. I was like, thank the fucking gods. Now, to explain all the other 15s, I already explained Daydream. I'm not going to do that. But Legend of Moonlight, I was struggling with that one too because it was hard for me to. It was the patterns weren't hard to read. It was just me trying to pick up the pace. Like I was slowing down each time I got to the hardest part, and I was like, wow, that's actually really tiring. And then when I finally got it, I was like, thank you, I can finally take a break. Apollon, yeah, that song was way too fast for me. The burst was alright, and then when I got to the ending, that's when I was like, jeez, I can't keep up anymore. High Tech Soda Machine, uh, that would be considered the easiest of the easy to unpack because there was nothing hard in my opinion. The patterns weren't even that annoying, and it's a slow BPM. Now, for the 14s, well, the 14s were 14s, but I won't get into like what I found really hard. Well, I mean, I will say that, but I won't get into like the other charts I found easy. But what I actually did find hard were actually two of the 14s, which was We Alive and A Site de la Rue. A Site de la Rue, well, this was just more of a personal problem for me because for some reason I just couldn't read how that ending went, and my mind was already like jumbling when I see those patterns. I'm like, geez, how do I do that? Like, I'm looking back at it, but I keep missing the button. As for We Alive, yeah, like, even for a slow BPM, I forgot, like 128, I think. I don't remember. Yeah, for such a slow song, it was nothing but like pure spam, and the bursts were like really fast for what it was. It kind of did remind me of Altail because Altail's burst, well, you can't call it burst, but it's kind of normal in that kind of song, like what kind of pattern it was, but it felt like Altail, like I was either going too fast or I was going too slow. But yeah, We Alive did give me some trouble. So did Aside de la Rue. I can't remember which one took me the longest to do, but eventually I got through it. I was like, okay, 14s are out of the way. Now, time to deal with the real stuff. And skipping past all the 15s I've already talked about, now comes the secret song, which now I'm sure everyone knows what it is. It being Kamui. Oh, Kamui, what a song to actually make me cry. I remember the day that Char came out, I had such a hard time clearing it because it was so fast and there was just no breaks in between, and I was just like, how do I do it? Especially with trying to keep up with the speed because me at 200 speed was not ideal. Like, this was at the time where I sucked at good spams, and that says a lot coming from a previous Project Diva player, because even when Project Diva had its hardest songs, I had trouble keeping up. But Kamui was the game changer. That isn't to say that this was the first chart to have this aspect, because there was at least two charts before this that had that kind of pattern, to where you had to rely more on dumb switching, I guess you can say, because now after the online update, the there was a lot of usage of sliders, and I noticed that in a lot of charts after the online update. Anything before that was just either its arcade variant, which wasn't too hard of a pattern to learn, and most of them were just mostly the hit buttons, like not no barely any slides until it was like really necessary. Until but after that, it's just like, wow, their whole style has changed, and this song especially contributed to it. This song being one of the hardest songs in Easy 2 on, and at the time became the hardest song in Groove Coaster. I was not prepared for what was coming. I just really thought that maybe the patterns wouldn't be as bad as I thought, but it turns out the patterns were as bad as I thought. Cause I was looking at like, oh, I was like, oh my god, what was going on? My Joy-Cons can't keep up. I had trouble figuring out how to execute every pattern that came up, because it was just coming at me out of nowhere. It was just coming out of me out of nowhere. So I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I had to it took me a while to even try to clear it, and it even took me even a more while to even full chain it, and I'll get to perfecting it in a bit. But yeah, if anyone ever did see my stream of me showcasing the Easy to Unpack, y'all would have seen how much I struggled with Kamui, and then by the time I finished clearing it, I was like, I'm getting away from that. And then after that, I took the day out, like not even trying to finish the pack, because I was that got me into a little bit of depression. One of the people I talked to actually made fun of me for that, because it was kind of like it's just a game situation, but to me, since Groove Crush became a part of my life now, it wasn't really a game to me now. I lost hope, but it was one of those things where I got back up, because once I vent about how I felt and I feel like I was just letting myself down, I eventually got back up to it and was just like, all right, let's see what I can do. So I got up. The first thing I actually did was knock out the 14s all in one day, thank God. And then one by one, I started playing the 15s, and the first 15 I played was Daydream, because to me, I considered that, first off, a good song, and secondly, like a like an easy chart, because all it was just double surrounding, and nothing was too hard for that for me. I was just mashing it as much as I could, and even like after 30 minutes, I was done. Like, I was like, wow, it was that fast and that easy. Okay, like, you see other people struggling with this song for some reason, and I'm just there like, wow, that was pretty easy. Like, let me move on to the next one. I can't remember the time span of me like when I perfected each of the 15s because all I know is I actually started grinding the next day and ended ended the whole pack like 3 days later. So the next one being okay. I'm not gonna explain anymore, but now let's get back into Kamui. Kamui. The moment I I was still playing Kamui on the side whenever I was grinding for the other 15s because it's like this is something I'm not going to like just sit down at once trying to learn it. I want to learn it as I go through everything else. I don't want to just go in one section with me struggling for like all day trying to get it because that would just be a waste of my time. So I decided I was like, okay, let's give Kamui another chance. And then eventually I learned it. I had I somehow had the stamina for each of the, for for each of the songs and I just went with it. Like I was like, okay, I'll keep this up, but I'll have to come back to it. Every other 15, it was either something I got through easily. Most of the time, I was really struggling due to the hard patterns. And then eventually, I got to Kamui, the last song I had to do. So, of course, the I needed to start on the next day because after picking, it was already midnight, so I needed to rest. And I made sure not to not to tire myself out because if I kept playing, then I was just gonna keep playing, and trust me, I did not want to see myself struggle all night. So I was like, let's do this. So yeah, sorry, I had to take a quick pause, but I was like, okay, let's do this. The next day came out, and apart from me sleeping all day because of what I was doing that night, I was already pumped. So first thing I did was warm up, of course, because no way I was gonna get that easily, and I was like, and then when I finally got the full chain of the day, I was like, all right, let's keep up. So I kept playing, hopefully no misses, hopefully, and some even on the side, like hopefully no cools until I got close. And I did see that I was getting close. Like I was consistently getting full chains, consistently getting new records. But around like half of my session, that's when I actually started feeling fatigued. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so tired. I don't know if I can keep up. But I wanted to keep up because I wasn't gonna let one song keep me from complete, quote unquote, completing the game. So I took a small break, and the one thing to keep me pumped up was me grabbing a soda. Not to be honest, like it was one of those moments where like I don't know if I should drink soda because I barely drink soda as a person since since my condition soda is not great for me. But it was like, what choice do I have? I haven't eaten anything all day. I need something to energize me. So after drinking that, I played a bit more. I think either before or after my soda, I did get one cool. I was mad. I was like, dang, come on, I was that close. So I I just kept going. Like I was like, come on, calm down. I can do this. And in that chair, I was sweating. I was sweating a lot. I was, well, I wouldn't say I was sweating a lot. It's just it felt like I was sitting there for a long time to a point where I I needed to stop. But I was like, no, I'm gonna keep going. So after a few hours, I don't know how long, maybe an hour or two in, when I finally got to the end, my final play came through. I was like, okay. And then I was like, okay, I got through the hard part. Like, and if you could tell by my video, like, you could see me slow down a bit, but I was like, no, keep going. So once I got through the hard part, that's that's like the first two spams. Those are, well, first two that or three spams, like long spams. I was like, okay, I got through it. Like I actually did it. So so I was holding my breath for who knows how long, trying to make sure I was not going to choke. I was like, come on, like, don't think of anything stupid, just do it. And then after the the hold part at the end, I was like, okay, here it goes. And then I played it through, and then right when I got to it, I I'm sure people who saw my old Twitter account or so, but I fucking screamed. I fucking screamed because I finally got it. Like 5 days later, I what I thought for me to be um completely impossible. I finally did it. I was so proud of myself that day because it was one of those songs where I was like, wow, like I was I was impressed with myself for even getting through it. So yeah, I was so relieved to finally do it because now I was done. I was done with this I was done with that song until I got to active mode. I was like, thank you, Lord. I was like, thank you. I was, and at the time of that pick, I was the second person to perfect the song because, with me having like no life, I wanted, I wanted to get this, and I was finally relieved to have it, and it was like, wow, I went through all of that, and it paid off in the end. This was the one game that I was proud to have on my side because it made me realize that there was going to be more to come, and whether I like it or not, I'm going to have to get through it. Yeah, I do apologize for my excitement there. It's like one of those moments I wish I can get back to. Yeah, looking at this pic now, it's hard to believe I did this 3 years ago. Like, I was one of those people who was doubting myself, thinking that, man, I can't get through this at all. I don't know what I'm gonna do until it finally happened. I I remember this being my most liked tweet too. And I was like, yes, thank God. It's finally over. The hardest song done. That that was the best times. Like I was really sitting there thinking to myself, how did I do this? How did I do this? A lot of people would say that playing with Joy-Cons is impossible, but trust me, it is anything but impossible. Like Joy-Cons were a good feel for me, and I just I just kept through it. Like no matter how many Joy-Cons I wore out, it just I just kept it with me. So let's get to my final thoughts about my final pack. I'm gonna keep it at this image because just to put in all the glory. Um, so what I really think about Kamui in this game, Groove Coaster, not an Easy 2 on or anything else. It really changed my perspective. This one song changed my entire perspective of Groove Coaster because it was my it was my wake up call saying that it looks like I'm gonna be struggling with a lot of songs like Kamui in the future. And honestly, like that's something I was okay with because if I found since I found something impossible, I know I could do it. Now, I would I forgot. Hold up. So, it has changed my life, but it had changed my life for the better because I was kind of happy to see that Taito was getting out of their comfort zone, and unfortunately that did mean that getting out of the comfort zone meant making one of the hardest charts in the game. But honestly, I was down for it because not a lot of rhythm games is capable of doing that. Well, I say that, but I don't really know a lot of rhythm games like that, but a lot of rhythm games do get out of your comfort zone when it comes to charting, and I say this one just really takes the cake because what started out on this version of the game, what started off becoming like easy charting that people get through, like even some of the top players I've known say that a lot of the early stuff was just like to bypass. Like I would even say Grievous Lady was a part of that too. Anyways, but yeah, like I was yeah, about the chart. Yeah, like after the online update, the charting style has completely changed, and I'm glad they did that because it just meant for the people who were really good at Groove Coaster, it's now more challenging. Like, it's not easy. This game was really never easy to begin with, I'll admit, but um, yeah, like with those new techniques and stuff, it gets the player to know more like what's about to come. And I was one of those players. And that isn't to say I'm the best out there because aside from the Japanese community of Groove Coaster playing this game a lot, and I'm only talking about this version because I barely have any experience with arcade. But there is one other person in the West who's even better than me, and for those who do know him, he's a couple years younger than me. He's a prodigy in rhythm games, not gonna lie. I'll give him credit for that. He's really good. But yeah, my final thoughts is Kamui changed my life for the better. I am glad that this song came into Groove Coaster, and I am glad that this chart was what pushed me to keep going for later charts. And that isn't to say that this song is the hardest one anymore. There are a couple of charts out there now that are harder than Kamui, and I'm sure most of you know what that song is, what those songs are. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Kamui and the Easy to Unpack. This is the pack that changed, in my opinion, changed Groove Coaster YY Party. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I feel like I did miss out on some details like I normally do. This would not this would not happen if I was really where if I actually scripted my thoughts. But unfortunately, I'm too lazy to do that. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you. I actually hope you listen to the entire thing because this was pretty much my life experience with Groove Coaster. But if, it's fine if you hadn't. Um, yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Maybe I have more videos like this in the future where I talk about certain stuff. But who knows? Who knows what will happen? Alright. Have a good one, y'all.